This video is mastered in HDR, and for the best experience, you should watch it in HDR on a television or device with HDR support. When I decided that I needed to finish and deliver my HDR training videos in HDR, I promised myself that I would never try to build my own streaming platform to host them on. So I've built my own streaming platform for delivering high-quality HDR content. Here's why. Hey, I'm Sam with Billito Services. I'm an independent filmmaker, colorist, and expert in video technologies, including high dynamic range video. When I was planning out my courses and trainings on HDR, I knew that I needed a platform that supported HDR delivery. HDR is a medium that you need to see and experience, and it's not easily experienced in SDR. I naively thought, well, Vimeo and YouTube both work in HDR. Everything else should too, right? Right? Wrong. Oh, so wrong. In terms of self-publishing platforms that work in HDR, I was actually only able to find 3: YouTube, Vimeo, and Brightcove, even though a lot more self-publishing platforms claim HDR support. So why didn't I use one of those 3 platforms to build MasterHDRVideo on? Let's go through all of the requirements that I had for a streaming service, and then see if any of those 3 actually meet them. First, I needed to stream in HDR. Great, they all do. But I also knew that the best learning experience would be HDR on an HDR TV. But I also wanted the HDR available on Android, iOS, and any other platform that supports HDR. Brightcove only streams to TVs if you build custom apps. Vimeo only works with a handful of TVs and won't work in HDR on many web browsers, especially on a Mac. YouTube would work in HDR for pretty much every platform. Next, I wanted a high-quality stream, one that was close to master quality. Vimeo's is pretty good, and with Brightcove, I could have used Zencoder to create a custom quality scale for delivery, so that was great too. YouTube's compression quality leaves a lot to be desired. At the end of the day, to put food on my table, I also need to sell my content and to keep it protected. That's a feature that's available on both Vimeo and Brightcove, but isn't something that's available on YouTube. In fact, it's prohibited by their terms of service. With none of the platforms supporting all of the requirements for the project, I literally had no other option. If I wanted to stream in high-quality HDR, I had to build my own streaming backend. To do that, I first needed to figure out what video compression formats would work in HDR and where. After a few days of running compression, I figured out that there is no consistency between devices, browsers, platforms, and televisions for which video formats they support in HDR. I ended up with this table, which you can pause if you're interested in seeing what's supported at this time. So, in order to get HDR everywhere, I had to run 9 different video package sets with anywhere between 2 and 5 quality levels each. The encode runs at a blistering 3/4 of a frame per second. I made the decision that for quality's sake, I wouldn't serve up any content at a frame size less than 720p, and the highest quality versions run at 12 megabits per second for 1080p, which is pretty indistinguishable from the ProRes masters. Even though I love 4K, 4K resolution doesn't actually add much to the learning experience, and would have severely limited how quickly I could edit and produce graphics. With my video formats picked, I had to write custom logic for my webpage to set up a video player that would do as much as it could intelligently to figure out which version to serve up when you asked for the HDR. Good thing I once had a hobby of learning JavaScript. Unfortunately, there's no universal way for detecting whether or not the browser that you're using supports HDR at any time. My solution to ensure that everyone gets the best HDR experience is to have you as the user click Watch HDR if you know you're watching it on a device that supports HDR. So that's the back end. But what about the front end? For that, I'm licensing a third-party CMS that I've skinned and built out with my content. I'm not always happy with it because the platform doesn't allow for too much customization, and it's riddled with coding errors, most of which I've been able to fix, but I wasn't always able to override what they've done. Why am I using it then? Because it's the only one that would allow me to embed my own streaming links. I really had no other option. I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you want to start your own HDR streaming service, don't. Or call me and we'll figure something out. If you haven't already checked out the MasterHDRVideo platform, you should head over there and play the video, Does HDR Look Better Than SDR? To see the quality of the stream compared to what you'll find on YouTube. And then check out my course From Scene to Screen, the HDR Image Pipeline, to grow your knowledge of how HDR works and how you can take advantage of it creatively. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more tips, tricks, and tools for working in HDR. Until next time, I'm Sam Bilodeau, and I'll see you soon.